Hey everybody, Tony UV, CEO of Versprite and co-author of Risk-Centric Threat Modeling and the Process for Attack Simulation and Threat Analysis. Today I'm coming to you to reveal a big threat library drop done by the DevSecOps team at Versprite. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about threat messaging and using taxonomies in a meaningful way for a lot of your audience members when you're doing threat modeling. So with that, let's begin really quick. Messaging in threat modeling or using risk-centric threat models like the process for attack simulation and threat analysis, the really main message that you want to convey is risk. At the end of the day, a lot of our work in security has to convey some level of importance to an audience member within a product development team, a product group, the overall business where they actually care about what you're saying. I find that oftentimes in security, we say things that we care about and we don't say things in the way that the business or the application owner actually cares about. And so this was one of the main precepts of the risk-centric threat modeling approach. The other thing about threat models that are risk-centric is that the threat information should be meaningful, right, to everyone involved. When there is an application or software or product, whatever have you, you have a lot of stakeholders. You have people that are in designing the solution. You have individuals that are building the environment. You have maybe a group of operational team members that are maintaining the product, right? And these are all very common stages within any system development or software development lifecycle. So you want to be able to make sure that the threats that you're conveying in your threat model are actually meaningful. You also want to make sure that you understand your audience, right? This is the classic type of communication, advice that's given in many communication 101 classes is, do you understand who your audience is in terms of engineers, architects, developers, etc.? So when you convey threat information, ideally, the threat information should be so unifying and so clear-cut that everyone that's a stakeholder really understands. Oftentimes, I often chuckle at sometimes what many threat modeling professionals will advocate as a threat, and they're mentioning things like spoofing, right? And I always use the example where if you go to, let's say that we're all working for the other side, right, the dark side, and we go to one of our crime syndicate bosses and we say, hey, I was able to spoof and impersonate an account. They're going to basically ask, okay, and they want to know, like, what else did you do, right? And then similarly, if you flip it back to like a product owner or the business or enterprise security, oftentimes they're going to want to know, okay, great, so tell me more and how does this impact my product? Coming from a development background myself, I know that, developers want to be able to see, okay, great, this sounds scary, but what's the implication, right? So oftentimes we have to make sure that we're using the right vernacular, and certain things that we're using in the industry are actually attack patterns and not actually threats. So in general, when we're doing threat modeling, we want to be able to solve some very basic questions, right? And the risk-centric approach is really trying to ask, like, okay, what's wrong? Why should my audience care, and how should they actually fix it? And if you've ever talked to a developer who are very pressed for time, they're trying very much to get to the crux of what you're trying to tell them. Overall, risk-centric threat models provides a huge opportunity on messaging, and I wanted to take this time to be able to talk about having the right threat library in your threat model could allow you to message better what's wrong with the application or product or service that has been developed, both horizontally across a lot of stakeholders, but as well as vertically, right? Going above and beyond your immediate beneficiary of that threat model, going even into the executive realm. And that makes you a lot more useful and dangerous as a threat modeling security champion. But let's go into conceptualizing some of these threat libraries that go into a threat model. And a library is just simply a list of different things. In threat modeling that's using a risk-centric approach like PASTA, you have this pretty nice conceptual organization of a library that has a series of threats, right? So you have basically in a library various threat assertions. In this one, we're just looking at this very generic single threat in a library of one, where it's affecting maybe one target or two targets. And for each one of those target components or maybe use cases, you actually have correlating vulnerabilities that are affecting that target or use case. And you also have correlating attack patterns that are affecting that vulnerability. And you might have countermeasures to mitigate that vulnerability. Overall, the threat libraries within a risk-centric approach want to provide a logical representation on how that threat that you're manifesting to your stakeholders could actually be viable. So for each threat in the threat library, you want to be able to make your threat assertion to be easy to understand, correlated to some level of impact, basically going back to that last point of why should I care, and ideally supported by some actual threat data, right? We're doing threat modeling afterwards, after all. So we want to be able to make sure that we're not blowing a lot of smoke to our stakeholders that are developing software, right? We want to be able to have some level of credence and evidence that there's things happening either in our environment, in the environment that we're building and managing software, or the environment out there in the industry that has similar products and services that we're actually building that are also being succumbed to different types of threats. And then with that, we can have the opportunity to map to other taxonomies that are used in the industry, such as the MITRE CVE or MITRE CAPAC, MITRE ATT&CK, ATT&CK post-exploitation library. The list goes on and on. OSCAR for software composition analysis, vulnerabilities. DEFEND for countermeasures. Even the OWASP application security verification standard. So with the basis of a good threat library, you can actually map to some of the security stuff that we're all passionate about. Last but not least, so you might be asking, well, where can I get my hands on some good threat libraries? Well, I'm glad you asked. And I'm going to get to some of the things that our team has been working diligently on that's going to be for free. But overall, understand that threat libraries provide a way that you can contextualize risk, right? So everyone talks about risk and security, and really risk is made up of a few variables, some notable ones like threat. So if you have a variable that's substantiated by data, then you're going to help to be able to conceptualize risk for your stakeholders. And at the end of the day, you can basically operationalize a lot of threat intel or threat data from various internal operations or external threat hunting activities that you might be doing that help to substantiate a lot of those threat assertions in your threat library. These threat assertions should be meaningful, right? So if I make a threat assertion, for example, that I want to steal information from a, let's say, background check application that's online, then that means something to both the data owners for that product as well as the people that are engineering that product, because they understand that data privacy is a major aspect that they have to sustain in their product for them to be profitable and maintain good integrity with their customers. So threat modeling does provide an opportunity to bridge security concepts with threats. I think that the threat assertions that we've been talking about really hinge on coming up with a good vernacular that makes sense to all stakeholders involved, and that you can message very successfully vertically and horizontally across many stakeholders. So for leveraging a curated list of threat libraries for free, I want to be able to share some free resources that were developed by our DevSecOps teams at Versprite, as well as our threat intel group at Versprite. So here on the screen, if you visit you can just Google Versprite and fork, pasta, threat modeling, any one of those words, really, you'll come up to our GitHub page, or you can go to github.com/Versprite/fork community. If you're not familiar with Fork, it is a free SaaS-based tool that you can get started by doing risk-centric threat models using the PASTA, process for attack simulation, and threat analysis methodology. The big reveal that's coming out today is that our team has been working hard, again, in concert with one another. We have our threat intel group at VerseBright that has developed and curated a list of threat libraries in conjunction with our DevSecOps team. Our DevSecOps team has been working extremely hard to build out a lot of the Fork community tools and capabilities and features. And just let's take a dive into here. If you go into the actual threat libraries, you'll see that we've added on to the initial 6 threat libraries that were there by industry. So now we have like automotive, consumer electronics, we have government, we have higher education, hospitality, retail, etc. And what we're looking to do at VerseBright is actually now shift from these industries with a threat library that makes sense, again, to all stakeholders that may be involved, into now technology-centric realms. So think about IoT, think about, of course, AI implementations, and so forth. If we click on any one of these, there's also, by the way, if you're not a big fan of looking at JSON all day, you can go to the visualization folder and then click on any one of the PDFs. If we go into, for example, the energy PDF, you'll see what the JSON is really going to manifest. And what you can do is you can ingest that into your own code base and your own threat modeling product, and basically see the threat libraries that have been developed by industry. So as you can see here, this is the energy sector. And if you imagine yourself as an executive within the energy sector, whether it be petroleum, whether it be nuclear, whether it be electric, we've come up with a curated version 1 of a threat library that encompasses a lot of these parent level threat assertions. So things like, I want to manipulate energy prices, or I as a threat actor want to do corporate espionage against an energy company, or I want to do corporate sabotage, right, and do some level of disruption, disrupt energy distribution. That's pretty specific to the distribution aspects of energy, and energy production as well. So it goes on and on, where a lot of these threat scenarios are, again, supported and tied to a lot of the security industry taxonomies. But the bridge there is the target component, right? So if you're interested in playing around with this, what I will say is to visit forktm.com, and that way you can test drive some of these threat libraries within the actual SaaS threat modeling product itself. And if you want more information on PASTA, the process for attack simulation and threat analysis, it's the world's only risk-centric threat modeling approach with the credence of, hey, focus on the things that matter and the things that are going to have the biggest impact and likelihood to happen in your environment. So signing out on behalf of VerseBright, this is Tony UV. Have a good night.